All right, listen. Did you bring your guns?
I can't tell you that.
Are you carrying right now?
I can't tell you that.
Is that how it works?
I never disclose if I am carrying. Never.
They're so nervous. These guys are literally about to poop their pants over the fact that Kaitlin Bennett might have a gun. Well, what do you expect? She's the Kent State gun girl. And besides, what's so scary about a woman with a gun? Kaitlin Bennett was invited to go on Logan Paul's podcast show, Impaulsive. From what I can tell, it looked like Logan Paul and his crew thought that they were going to invite Kaitlin on and destroy her in some gun control debate. Well, it didn't quite go according to their plan. Logan Paul and his crew approached this debate as typical liberals do, lacking facts, statistics, and actual knowledge about guns. Instead, they resorted to emotional ploys and guilt trips to try to get Kaitlin to compromise on her position.
Why do you need a magazine that holds more than 5 rounds?
So what if 10 people are coming in your house to rob you? So you are not going to, especially with a 380, like my handgun holds a 380. It's small, it's tiny. I'm going to probably need more than 5 rounds to take someone down with it.
Do you currently own an AR-10 or a long barrel semi-automatic weapon?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you feel the need to own that level of firepower?
Because I want to.
Oh, these guys are seriously shitting themselves right now.
And I see someone walking with a rifle around campus.
That's scary.
That's scary.
No, that's safe. What I see is an armed society is a safe society. What I see is that almost 3 million lives are saved every year due to defensive use of firearms. That's what I see. I see that 98% of mass shootings are in gun-free zones. So if we want to talk about ending a gun violence problem, we need to go to where it's happening. It's happening in gun-free zones.
Kaitlin's facts don't care about Mike and Spencer's feelings.
Okay, you get rid of gun-free zones, and then what happens? Inevitably, people buy and arm themselves with guns, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then what?
If they choose
Everyone
to.
has a gun?
No, I don't think everyone should have a gun. That's where it comes back to. I support background checks from private businesses. I support that. Right now, you can go and buy a gun. There's a black market for firearms, gang violence. You know, the number one perpetrator of gun violence is gangs. 80% of gun homicides are drug-related and gang-related.
Just hand over your gun rights because of insert emotional appeal. And disregard facts, statistics, and actual knowledge.
We have more than 20,000 gun laws on the book.
It's calling something that's ineffective in its execution useless is
well, wouldn't that
futile.
be the definition of useless? If we can't execute something,
It's not that we can't. We just haven't done a good enough job of it.
So what do we do? I think giving the government the power to regulate our Second Amendment right and our firearms is going down an extremely slippery slope.
Many have commented that Logan Paul's just sitting there quietly throughout most of this interview, kind of looking perplexed.
I want to hear from Logan, to be honest. I haven't heard from Logan the whole time, but
I hate to try to like put statistics to something that like a shooting is a shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Like how like one mass shooting is too many mass
yeah,
shootings.
no, absolutely. But we don't live in a perfect world. And even feet and hands kill more people than rifles.
Hammers kill more people than rifles.
Mm-hmm.
looking it up.
Let's
see.
Blunt objects.
So
if we look at statistics, we have found that gun owners actually stop mass shootings. We find that 500,000 to 3 million lives are saved every year due to defensive use of firearms.
Did Logan Paul just get red-pilled by Kaitlin Bennett? We're not as safe and secure as many people believe we are. We have a false sense of safety and security in this country.
TSA seems pretty necessary.
They have a 95% fail rate. They don't do their job 95% of the time. They're always stealing stuff.
where's that data from?
Fact check.
Just fact check. The Department of Homeland Security did indeed do a private screening to find out that 95% of things are missed by the TSA.
Wow, fact check.
And what was that fact? Who was the fact check provided by?
Department of Homeland Security.
It was an internal stuff.
Yeah.
We're not talking about TSA failing to retrieve somebody's hairspray and throw it in the trash. Thank you, TSA. I will never forgive you for throwing away my really nice hairspray.
What?
Damn, that's pretty sad.
I'm just curious.
Crazy.
Curious. What does that entail? Like things are missed, like liquids.
No, weapons and explosives.
These guys end up having their minds blown to realize that she's actually stating and citing real facts.
Nobody, no criminal, no mass shooter, no criminal with a firearm that wants to kill people that's going to look at a sticker and say no guns allowed and be like, man, I was going to kill some people today in here, but if I can't bring my gun in, then I'll just go home.
I, as a human, not as a podcaster or interviewer, I would urge you to look for ways to create actual change. One of the ways you will do that is not aligning yourself with people like Alex Jones.
And I often think the way you approach people with your Infowars microphone can be somewhat threatening to people and make them feel like they
That's not
need
a
to.
threat.
You have become too radical for the center aisle. You've become too radical for the right. You've become too radical for the NRA, and you are
That's
now
fine. That's a good
and you are
thing.
now aligned with someone who should be locked in a mental facility.
What?
Notice the guy who's pushing for gun control in a rather emotionally hysterical manner is the same guy who's saying that Alex Jones should be locked up and put away for saying things that he disagrees with. Dear liberals, please tell me how you plan to convince people like Alex Jones to hand over their guns when you say crazy things like this.
And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
They're like one of the only people in the world to get banned
And
like
why?
from Twitter and Facebook. Like Twitter,
Well, no, there's
Twitter
a lot of
has
people
Twitter.
banned
You
from
can have
Twitter.
post porn. You can't. Alex Jones can't have an account.
And that isn't that scary?
That shows what type of man
that's
this is.
scary. No, that shows
Yeah, but there's
what these people are trying to censor.
But
if
no,
there's
okay.
porn out there, and then they want to censor Alex Jones for crazy opinions or the things he says, don't you think that says more about Twitter?
Here's another fact check for these guys. Alex Jones was not the only conservative to be banned on Twitter. In fact, many moderate conservatives are being purged systematically still to this day. All the while, real extremists and racists like David Duke remain on Twitter.
You're preparing for a fight. That's your the people who follow you and the people who agree with you. That's what you guys are doing.
We prepare to be able to defend ourselves.
Why don't you go out and prepare others so that they don't have to do that? I think a great thing for you to look into is to try meditation. And if you gain some benefit out of it, then maybe promote that a little bit more. Because that is a studied, proven, direct way that you could make a big impact with this conversation.
Meditation? Did he seriously just offer up meditation as a solution to gun violence? This isn't the Matrix, and you can't stop bullets with mythical meditation powers.
I'm open to meditation.
There we go.
That's fine.
Did you like that? Was that good?
That was
I like
good.
that.
Because we can make some serious fucking progress here.
How well did meditation work at stopping violence when the Tibetan monks were up meditating in their temples and the Chinese Communist Army rolled in and mercilessly slaughtered them?
On Impulsive, the #1 podcast in the world. The final question. What shape is the earth?
It's not flat. It's a sphere.
Interesting.
All right. Interesting. Thank you guys for watching.
Have you or a loved one been exposed to liberalism and identified as having Trump derangement syndrome? Liberalism is a disease caused by exposure to leftists. Many people are silently suffering from the effects of liberalism. Even families of exposure victims are at risk from secondary exposure. Symptoms may include anxiety, irritability, intolerance of free speech, pale skin, uncontrollable screaming, violent outbursts, hallucinations, and in extreme cases, mass hysteria. Spotting early warning signs can prevent this tragedy. There are plenty of options available to recompense leftist victims and their families. Go to Infowars.com, Newswars.com, and get tomorrow's news today. Go to InfowarsStore.com and get tomorrow's products today. Or dial 888-253-3139 for a free Infowars store consultation. It's never too late to turn your political affiliation around.